여러분, 동영상으로 낯설겠지만 미시경제학 강의를 시작하려고 합니다. 먼저 1장인데요. 참 그러고 보니 교재는 제가 여러분한테 아마 실러버스에 올렸을 겁니다. 저자가 베장코 브래티검이고 실러버스에 있는 교재를 여러분 구입하시면 됩니다. 교재는 제가 일부러 한국어 번역본이 있는 교재를 택했고 한국어 번역도 잘 되어 있습니다. 그래서 여러분이 영어가 편하시면 영어 교재를 구입해도 되고 아직은 한국어가 더 편하다면 사실 상당수 학생들이 그럴 것 같은데 한국어 교재를 구입해도 됩니다. 상관없습니다. 하지만 수업은 영어 수업으로 진행되기 때문에 강의도 주로 영어로 제가 할 거고 아마 대부분 영어로 하게 됩니다. 하게 되고 과제 시험 문제 여러분 답안 작성도 모두 영어로 해야 된다는 점 유념하십시오. 학교에 들어와서 처음 듣는 영어 전공 수업일 텐데 이제 앞으로 올 한 해 하고 내년 중에는 영어로 여러분이 듣는 수업이 전공 필수 과목이 대부분이니까 준비해 나가는 마음으로 시작하시기 바랍니다. 자, 그러면 챕터 1이 인트로덕션인데요. 제목이 Analyzing Economic Problems입니다. 과연 그것이 무엇일까? 다음 장에서 제가 설명을 드리겠습니다. 그 전에 제가 외국 학생들한테 먼저 양해를 구하겠습니다. To the foreign students or exchange students who is in my class, it might be weird to you, but this is a class held in Korean University, so I will speak sometimes in Korean. Mainly, I will do my lecture in English, but at the end part, I will summarize in Korean once again for Korean students. Please understand that. And before I start, because this is the first day, I want to make a short briefing in Korean for Korean students, and then I will resume my class. Now, let's move on next slide. On this slide, I will explain in Korean. Please wait up. Maximum 5 minutes. 자, 제가 외국 학생들에게 여러분 들었다시피 양해를 구했습니다. 그리고 이 장, 그리고 미시경제학의 소개를 간단히 우선 여러분한테 한국말로 하는 것이 좋다고 생각돼서 잠깐 시간을 할애하도록 하겠습니다. 저더러 미시경제학을 정의하라고 한다면 제약화, 최적화, 문제풀기 라고 하겠습니다. 아마 경제학 개론을 1학년 때 들었을 텐데 조금 의아하게 생각하는 학생도 있을지 모릅니다. 제약화, 최적화라는 것이 영어로 이제 늘상 나오겠지만 constrained optimization입니다. 제약화의 최적화 문제를 다루는 주체가 누구냐? 미시경제학에서요. 소비자 그리고 다른 대표자가 생산자 기업입니다. 소비자, 생산자 모두 어떠한 제약화에서 자기의 고를 최대화한다 라는 의미에서 옵티미제이션이라고 했습니다. 그리고 그 과정에서 소비자, 생산자 모두 가격, 소비자가 어떤 수량, 어떤 제품의 어떤 수량을 원하려면 가격을 고려하겠죠. 가격이 얼마일 때 나는 얼마를 사겠다. 가격이 10원일 때는 2개, 가격이 20원일 때는 뭐 1개 이런 식이겠죠. 생산자도 마찬가지입니다. 하지만 생산자는 가격이 올라가면 아까 10원일 때보다 만약 30원이 된다면 생산량을 더 많이 늘리겠죠. 그래서 동일한 가격에도 생산량 아니면 소비량의 반응이 소비자와 생산자가 다릅니다. 아마 그것에 대해서는 경제학 개론에서 소비곡선, 그 다음에 수요곡선, 맞아 수요곡선이네요. 수요 디맨드 커브하고 여러분이 서플라이 커브, 공급곡선을 여러분이 배웠을 겁니다. 그리고 두 곡선이 만나는 곳을 균형점이라고 합니다. 또 하나, 두 곡선이 만나는 장소를 우리는 시장, 마켓이라고 합니다. 그래서 마켓이라는 것을 또 정의를 미시경제학에서 하는데 거기는 수요자와 공급자가 만나는 곳입니다. 그리고 그러한 수요자와 기업인 공급자는 각자 제약화에 최적화를 하고 그 결과 시장에서는 수요곡선, 공급곡선이라는 반응, 행태, 비헤이비어를 보입니다. 그리고 이 둘 간에 서로 그 의견이 일치되는 점이 하나의 가격, 하나의 생산량으로 나오는데 그것을 균형점이라고 합니다. 요것이 제약화, 최적화이고 시장에서 균형을 살피는 미시경제학 전반의 가장 큰 에센스라고 저는 말하고 싶습니다. 그리고 이때 지금 제가 쓴 접근 방법을 앞으로 교재에서 나오겠지만 모델링이라고 합니다. 즉 우리가 말하는 모델링은 제약화, 최적화가 되겠습니다. 따라서 이러한 제약화, 최적화를 하려면 제약식이 있어야 되고요. 또 하나는 최적화를 위한 자기의 목적 함수가 있어야겠죠. 옆에 제가 아마 여러분 고등학교 때 낯익은 그래프를 하나 그렸을 텐데 수능에서 제법 나오는 문제였을 겁니다. 그렇죠? 빨간 선이 포물선, 그 다음에 파란 선이 직선이죠. 여기서 자주 묻는 문제를 여러분이 떠올려 보시면 직선과 포물선 사이의 최단 거리를 구하는 문제였을 겁니다. 그쵸? 이 최단 거리를 구할 때 여러분은 어떻게 했을까요? 포물선의 기울기와 직선의 기울기가 같아지는 곳을 여러분이 찾죠. 그쵸? 그 다음 아마 직선 사이 거리를 구하는 공식을 썼을 텐데 좀 더 근원적으로 생각한다면 두 직선 간의 기울기가 같아지는 선을 특히 이 점 P에 대해서 포물선에 대해서 접하게도 저희가 그릴 수 있을 겁니다. 그렇죠? 그럼 이 P는 이 포물선에 있는 수많은 점 중에 어떤 점이 될까요? 이 직선까지 이르는 거리를 최소화하는 점이 될 겁니다. 마찬가지로 지금 미시경제학에서 말한 제약식 이런 포물선과 같이 어떤 곡선이 하나 있다고 칩시다. 그 다음에 목적이라는 것이 뭐냐면 어떤 일정한 기울기를 가진 직선이 있는데 그 직선에 이르는 거리를 최소화하는 점 P를 구하는 것. 그것이 어떤 의미로 우리 미시경제학에서 제약화, 최적화 문제가 되겠습니다. 물론 이것과는 조금 다른 각도에서 저희는 살피게 될 것입니다. 정확히 똑같다는 얘기는 아닌데 상당히 유사합니다. 자, 이런 미시경제 분석의 유형에는 무엇이 있느냐? 그때 한계 효과라고 했는데 marginal impact라고도 하고 고등학교 때 여러분이 많이 본 미분 적분의 미분입니다. derivative. 자, 아까 점 P를 구하려면 우리가 어떻게 하죠? 여기서 점 P를 구하려면 여러분이 아마 해야 될 게 뭐냐면 직선과 같은 기울기를 가지면서 이 포물선에 접하는 점을 구해야 될 겁니다. 그 과정에서 여러분이 무엇을 하겠어요? 곡선에 대해서도 미분을 하고 그 다음 직선의 기울기, 그 기울기가 사실 직선의 미분치죠. 둘이 같다 라는 식을 사용할 겁니다. 이때 여러분이 한계 효과를 다루게 되죠. 그렇죠? 그것이 이제 컨스트레인트 옵티미제이션의 문제이고 다음은 뭐 하냐면 그렇게 돼서 만든 소비자는 소비자대로 생산자는 생산자대로 컨스트레인트 옵티미제이션에서 둘이 서로 만나요. 어디서라고 했죠? 시장입니다. 그 시장. 시장에서 만나는 점을 구하는 것이 시장 균형점입니다. 또 그 외 비교 정태, 실증적 분석이 저희가 자주 쓰는 틀인데 이 중에 비교 정태만 간단히 설명을 하면 상황이 변할 수 있어요. 여러분은 지금은 학생이지만 나중에 졸업하고 직장인이 될 수가 있죠. 여러분의 소비 행태가 직장이 되면 아마 바뀔 거예요. 이런 것 같이 상황이 바뀌는 데 따라서 여러분의 소비자로서 행동이 어떻게 변하는지를 보이는 것이 비교 정태 분석이 되겠습니다. 그럼 이제 다음 장부터는 영어로 강의를 다시 진행하도록 하겠습니다. Now, I will start my lecture of today. So this is an overview of chapter 1. First, I will define what microeconomics is. Definition of microeconomics. And I will explain how do we model in this class, which is microeconomics, right? We want to model consumer response and firm's response based upon constraint optimization. In Korean, I wrote down here 제약화, 최적화. And for this constraint optimization, we have to think of what kind of element exists, right? First, we can think about the constraint we are bounded on, right? And subject to the constraint, we're going to pursue certain goal. right? So for constraint optimization, you have to think about two things at the beginning. Constraint you are facing right now, something unavoidable, right? And there is other thing, opposite, which is object. Here, we're gonna describe by function, we call it objective function. And also, there are other variable you cannot control. We call it exogenous variable, right? And given that situation, I will guide or I will teach you how to solve the model. The model here means constraint optimization model. And lastly, I will enumerate or take a short view of what kind of tool we will use for microeconomic analysis. We will think about the equilibrium in the market. In the market, I will define in later in detail. We need consumer, both consumer and the firms, right? And both of them, in the meantime of constraint optimization, we're going to use marginal approach. In mathematical terminology, we call it derivative or differentiation. And as outside or a variable which you cannot control, as those variable changes, our solution, the way to solve, will change. We call it comparative analysis. That's kind of thing I will go over in this slide with you. Now let me move to the next slide. Now here, I'm going to define what microeconomics is. Microeconomics is the study of economic behavior of individual economic decision maker. That's a key thing for microeconomics. So the first key thing is decision maker. We will look at individually. For what? Their behavior. That's what it is, microeconomics is. And what type of decision maker we are going to go over in this class? The first type, representative type, is consumer. In Korean, 소비자. And second type is a firms, right? In Korean, 기업, 생산자. And we have other decision maker, workers, and managers. In reality, firm doesn't have any substance. Manager run the business. That's why we have manager as well as firm here. And the second sentence, this study has involved both behavior of these economic agents on their own and the way their behavior interact with each other as a result to form a larger unit. We call it market. Right? Particular, our first focus is put on constraint optimization. So, on their own. This line corresponds to this constraint optimization. Now, I will explain once again using this graph. Right? Here we have a demand function, demand schedule, and supply function. We have two axes, right? This vertical axis represent what? The price of a product. Here, particularly price per pound. In Korean, 단위 가격, unit price라고 합니다. For this horizontal axis, we plot the quantity. Quantity in demand, quantity in supply, right? On their own, behavior on their own of each economic agents represent demand on their own for consumer, supply on their own for firm. This supply curve or supply function is a function of what? The price for this vertical axis, right? And something else, that's the wage. W here represents the wage. And this demand function responds to what? The price, the vertical axis. the same thing goes on. And the way their behavior interact is what? The intersection between two curves, right? It form what? Equilibrium quantity and equilibrium price. How do we call this place? We call this as a market. So this is correspond to what? To form a larger unit such as market. That's what it is, microeconomics. Now let me move to the next slide. Here, for the constraint optimization, we think about the goal for the optimization. Mathematically speaking, we define objective function. So we will deal with the goal of the agent, of the consumer, of the firm as a function, and we call that objective function. What kind of objective function consumer will have? Answer to my question will be your happiness or satisfaction or utility. What kind of objective function firm pursue? Firm pursue profit. So profit is their objective function, right? So in essence, objective function specifies the goal or what each agent cares about. If the agent were consumer, they will care about satisfaction level from consuming product. If the agent were firm, they care about what? The profit as a result of production. For production, they have to hire employee, they have to purchase ingredient. It costs. But their goal is what? Profit. Right? So your textbook has sometimes some kinds of different example. So if the agent become manager, you may ask, does you, manager, cares what? Do you care raising profit of the firm or increasing your own power? That's thinkable sentence. Does manager care more about raising profit or increasing his own power? Now let me direct one key question in your life. What is your life goal? Depending on how to answer this question, your priority in daily life will be determined. Right? I wrote down here, let me hide my face. You may be practical person, or some of you are very religious type, or some other of you humanitarian, and still another of you could be very political. As you see, depending upon your friend's type, their life goal should be different or should vary across student to student. Now let me move to the next slide. Now I have to explain constraint because we learn about the objective function. Now something we put our foot on, that's a constraint, or something we are binded to, that's a constraint, right? How do I define constraint? Constraints are whatever limit is placed on the resource available to you the agent. Let me assume you are a consumer, right? So what kind of constraint you have to consider before you pursue to maximize your objective function, which is satisfaction, as I said. What about time? Every one of us has only 24 hours a day. That's a time limitation. So you have a time as a resource, but there's a limit on the time which is available to us. What about the money? We call it budget. You may allow to spend $100 for today, right? Or some of you might have only $10 or $1. That's the limit on your budget. That's the limit on the money you can use. And we can imagine other resources could be restricted as well as budget and time. Sometimes market could not exist, then you cannot pay and purchase product from there, right? If you are not allowed to approach the market, you cannot purchase a product which will be traded in the market. What about this one? Technical capability. Some country has certain technology, but other country may not. Then the product which require those specific technology skill cannot be produced in the market. Thus, consumer cannot purchase the item. And also, even marketplace exists and technology were available, your government may regulate by the rule and law to trade a certain product. Then that will be another constraint to you as a consumer. That's a constraint. So bear in mind, there are two things, even for the consumer, to maximize your goal, you have to, in advance, think about the constraint you are facing, and based upon that constraint, you want to try to do your best to maximize your objective function or minimize the cost. Now let me move to the next slide. Now, here I'm going to explain how do you model constraint optimization mathematically. So through whole this semester, I'm going to explain all the concepts in microeconomics by mathematical equation or graph, mathematical graph. Right? So this is the first step. So here, what I have, let's imagine consumers' purchase choices, and two items is given for simplification. Food, which will describe by F acronym, and the clothing acronym C. So each F and C here represent the number of units of food will be represented by F. The number of units of clothing will be represented by C. And your income, let's say $100 box, will be represented by I. Right? Let's go down this equation. You can see this one. This is inequality equation, right? For the left-hand side, I have F, the number of units of food, the numbers of units of clothing. Each number, each unit of food and clothing are multiplied by so-called P, which is a price. What is P here? And it has subscription, the F. Here, this P has subscription of C. It represents what? Price of food. I will denote by P, but with subscription of F. Price of clothing, I will denote by the same P, but with the subscription of C. And then, you will understand left-hand side of this inequality represent what? The total spending on food and clothing. If we plug 2 for the number of food and the per unit price for food, let's say $1, right? Then $1 times 2 will become total spending on food. The same thing goes for the second term. So total spending on clothing. Summing of these two is your whole spending, amount of whole spending in terms of money, should be less than what? The money you have in your pocket. That's what this equation means. And this is your constraint, right? Now, you are subject to, you are constrained, you are binded by this constraint, right? Now, we have to think about the goal of you. You want a max. Here, this max represents maximization, what? Satisfactory level. This S represents satisfaction or satisfactory level. And this S is a function of two components, which is F and C here, the number of food and number of clothing, right? You want to maximize your satisfaction based upon the number of food spending, the number of clothing you purchase. but you have to think about your constraint, right? And as I described constraint by mathematical equation, we can describe this satisfaction level as a function like this one. This is product between F and C, and we put square root on that, right? This is power term, and it derived what? The satisfactory level. That's all about constraint optimization. We will do solve this one as if modeling in mathematical class. Now let me move to the next slide. So this is the example I made from your high school math, using your high school math notation. So the constraint for consumer correspond to budget set. I express this way, right? Here X, the number of units of product, which is first product. Second product, the number of unit of the second product is described by U, Y. Here first product, the number of unit of first product, the unit of it denoted by X. And here 2 is the price of the first product per unit. 5 is the price of the second product. So the whole summation for this left-hand side corresponds to total spending on good X and good Y, right? And it should be less than or equal to $20. That's the income you have, right? That's the constraint, which will be described by budget set for consumer. And the second equation is your utility or satisfaction level. For simplicity, I set utility level at 10, right? Left-hand side is the product between X and Y, right? Let's think about with example, 5 and 2. So this 5 for X, 2 for Y. 5 times 2 become 10. So equality to be held, right? Now let's plug the number into this budget set. So price 2 multiplied by unit of good X, which is 5. So 2 times 5 will become 10. What about Y? The unit of Y is denoted by 2. So 5 times 2. So it becomes another 2. So addition of first 10 and second 10 exactly become the income you have, right? So this is within the constraint. What about 2 and 5? 2 and 5, as 5 and 2, the product of it become 10. So this one will give you same utility as before, right, as the previous one. Now let's plug this number into your budget set. Then you will see the problem. What kind of problem? 2 times another 2, which is the price, become 4. That's okay. What about the second product? 5 times 5 will become 25. So 4 plus 25 become greater than 20. So you broke the constraint. So this spending is not affordable. So it is not available, right? So if I restrict you to choose between only 2 baskets, by the way, the combination between X and Y, I will call it basket. For consumer, I call it consumption basket. So 5 and 2 is valid for this budget set. But this 2 and 5 is not affordable, so this cannot be considered as available option for the consumer, right? And here I use the simple number, but the number could be continuously sliceable. For this case, we need to use derivative or compute the slope of each two curves. Two curve here means this one, if we use equality, become one line curve. If we use equality, this one become reciprocal function in your high school. If we divide both sides of this equation by x, then left hand side becomes just y. What about right hand side? 10 over x. That's the reciprocal function you have seen a lot in your high school. The shape will be like this one. Assuming this is x, assuming this is y, right? I call it this is reciprocal function, right? Is this one. And what about the first line? Could be this one. And here, the key thing, you have to find out tangent point between the two curves. I have a reciprocal function, reciprocal curve, and I have line curve for budget set. Find out tangent point, right? And compare with each other. That's what it is, if I speak in your high school math. Now let's move to the next slide. So basically same thing. So this line curve corresponds to budget set. Your objective function corresponds to this reciprocal function. I wrote down skippable, but there is one thing I have to point out. Each utility, this is utility function, right? All these three terms exactly are the same. Only the change here on the right hand side. If I compare, if I make distinction between these three, I want to make their difference this way. So S2 is the biggest one, S1 is medium size, S0 is the smallest. So depending upon this S2, let's say S2 is 100, S1 is 50, S0 is 10. The curve, the location will vary. The curve with the highest S2 will locate it upper and right hand side compared to the lowest one, right? So as you move from here, the lower one to the topper one, your utility is increasing, right? The key feature of the lowest one, just tangent on this what? Budget set. This is budget set. For budget set, you have income, you have a price of first product, which is food here, which is the price of second good, which is clothing, right? Now, available thing to you is the number of food and number of clothing, right? So you have to choose. You have multitude of basket or choice variable, but there is only one place which tangent with this objective function, right? Now let's move to the next slide. One different thing compared to the right previous slide, this one has volume, three-dimensional. Compared to this one, the previous one was flat one, two-dimensional, right? So your utility function, I can draw a lot here once again. What does it look like? Whole this shape, what I mean. Whole this shape look like mountain for some of you, or other of you spear, right? It doesn't matter. But anyway, it has a volume, meaning it has length and width as well as the flat panel. It has height, which is volume, right? Let's look at this one. U equal 4, right? It has 3 points, A, B, and C. Those 3 points have one common thing. They have the same height, right? What about this one? U equal 8, right? We have a lot of place or line representing the height 8, right? For height A, the component in terms of X and Y, the unit of food and unit of clothing, if we go down deeper into there, let's say there is a point. This point, let me denote different color. This point represent what? Bigger unit of food and clothing than B. Point B. What's the unit of clothing? Coordinate of that is this one. What about this one? Is here, right? And the reason this one has bigger unit of food and clothing compared to this point B, only driven by higher utility level. In other words, to achieve a higher utility level, you have to spend more, right? You have to more unit of X compared to corresponding unit of X for point B. You have more unit of Y, right? Compared to the unit of Y for point B, right? And this, we call this is contour graph, and each one has contour line. By the way, let me speak in Korean. 한국 학생들에게 이게 별게 아니고 산이라고 생각하고 등고선이라고 여러분 생각하세요. 등고선이 영어로 컨투어 라인이에요. 그래서 등고선이 의미하는 바가 뭐죠? 등, 고, 고도가 같다라는 거죠. 자, 이런 것들이 있는데 유틸리티, 효용의 레벨, satisfaction 레벨이 변함에 따라서 등고선이 어떻게 더 높은 데는 이렇게 나타내죠. 그 등고선을 밑으로 내려서 XY, 여기 길이하고 내가 넓이라고 얘기도 했고 푸드의 유닛이나 클로징의 유닛이라고 했는데 이 높이를 드리븐하는 XY 코디네이트가 어떻게 돼요? 더 안쪽에 있기도 하고 의미하는 바가 뭐예요? 더 많은 X, 전 B보다 더 많은 Y를 의미하죠. 그래서 앞에 슬라이드에서 유틸리티 레벨을 S0, S1, S2로 그냥 평면에서만 표기했는데 그것들이 만약에 3차원을 줘서 높이를 표시한다면 더 높은 데 있어요. 알겠습니까? 사실 여러분의 효용함수라는 건 이런 3차원 스페이스에 있는 어떤 볼륨을 가져요. 요건 아마 고등학교 때 해본 적이 없을 것 같은데 이것을 어쩔 수 없이 2차원 평면에 플랫시켜야 된다면 앞 슬라이드의 그래프가 되는 겁니다. 그렇게 앞으로 효용함수는 여러분이 생각하실 때 편하게는 그 2차원 스페이스를 하겠지만 원래 모습이 이런 3차원의 모습이 됩니다. Now let me get back to the class. By the way, I describe this contour graph by this one equation. Product of x and y, square root on that. And it becomes utility function. That's your objective function. Whole shape denoted by this one. One big difference from your high school math set this one to a certain number. High school, we fixed the level. So you assigned as 4. You assigned as 6. Then given this 6, what you have to do, or what you have done, just solve x and y combination. What it is, that's this one. But as I change this level from 6 to 10, the new relationship between x and y should be driven like this one. That's the problem, or that's the modeling we are going to deal with in this class. By the way, for any particular contour line, you can think about substitutability between x and y. Any point, regardless of A, B, and C, one common thing, all these different 3-point or corresponding basket derive the same utility. So you can imagine substitution between A and B, right? B has more unit of X compared to basket A. A has more unit of Y than B for good Y. But both of them gives you same utility. So substitution between X and Y will occur given utility level, which is 4 between A and B. And you can think the same thing between B and C, right? C has more unit of X than point B basket, right? B has more unit of Y. So to give you a certain level of utility which is given 4, right? You make the substitution between B and C. C has more unit of X, but it should have less unit of Y, right? So contour line represents substitution between different basket, but both of them are giving same utility. Once you change the utility level, you have to imagine another substitutability between new basket. Right? Now let me move to the next one. Here and in a couple of later slides, I'm going to explain the terminology. So here I brought two terminology, exogenous variable versus endogenous variable. So genus are the same, but we have two different prefix, exa and endogenous variable. Right? Variable is a thing you are used to in your high school math. We will consider the same thing. So first one, variable, it has value, but we take that value as given. Then we call it exogenous variable. In Korean, 외생 변수, meaning you cannot control. It is given outside of your power. There is another variable that the value of that variable is not given. You don't need to take it as given. It is determined as a result of what? Model. That is the endogenous variable. Please think about the previous slide or previous and previous slide. There, for the consumer, constraint optimization, they take the income and price of food and price of clothing is given. What they do, they choose the best unit of food, best unit of clothing. That F and C, unit of food and clothing, correspond to endogenous variable, which is driven from the model constraint optimization. By the way, the income, you just take it given. Price of food, let's say $2, you just take it given. That's exogenous variable, right? Now let's test our understanding using this example. So I'm raising two different questions to you. How much food and clothing should a consumer purchase in order to maximize satisfaction based upon the budget constraint, budget of I, right? So food and clothing here correspond to what? Exogenous variable? No, it is not. The answer should be endogenous variable, right? Second one, what is the minimum level of expenditure that the consumer must receive? In which situation? In order to achieve or reach a certain level of satisfaction. So we didn't deal this one yet, but we will deal later in this semester. So in order to reach a certain level of satisfaction, let's say that satisfaction level is given. So you have to take, in this case, utility level is given. And now this sentence is asking you derive what? The minimum level of expenditure. Then this one now become what? Endogenous variable. Actually, it is the same thing as income in your previous slide. So depending upon the context or depending upon the modeling, endogenous variable sometimes change into exogenous variable, and exogenous variable can change into endogenous variable. So their category vary across context and the way of modeling. Now, I think I can finish today's lecture at this point. Here, I want to make a supplementary comment in Korean. So this is a wrap-up for Korean students in Korean, lastly. So foreign students, you can finish the hearing of my lecture at this point. But Korean students, please stay with me furthermore. 자, 이거는 다른 게 아니고 여러분하고 제가 제 얼굴을 살릴 수가 없네요. 그냥 하겠습니다. 미안합니다. 서머리를 한번 해볼게요. 제가 슬라이드를 따로 출력을 했었으니까 종이를 보면서 할게요. 오늘 한 건데 미시경제학 결국 여러분 뭐죠? Individual Decision Maker, 개별적인 어떤 디시전을 만들 수 있는 에이전트들의 비헤이비어를 갖다가 공부하는 거예요. 스터디하는 거예요. 그런 인디비주얼은 누가 있죠? 소비자가 있고, 이 소비자는 뭘 하냐면 수요라는 걸 형성해요. 여러분 수요 곡선 이미 고등학교 때부터 제법 들어왔을 것 같은데, 수요 곡선은 가격이 올라가면 수요량을 줄이고 가격이 떨어지면 수요량을 늘린다라는 거죠. 자, 그러면 이런 수요 곡선이 있고 또 생산자도 가격에 따라서 생산량을 늘리는 생산 곡선이 있을 텐데, 먼저 수요자 하나만 일단 예를 들어서 포커스를 해봅시다. 제가 제약화 최저가 컨스트레인트 맥시미제이션이라는 걸 설명을 했었는데, 그것이 뭐냐면 이런 수요 곡선이라는 게 컨스트레인트 옵티미제이션의 결과라고 합니다. 거기까지 가긴 아직 길이 way away, further away 남아있지만, 지금 하고 싶은 건 컨스트레인트 옵티미제이션이 뭔지는 제가 설명을 간단하게 드렸을 거예요. 버젯 라인이 있고 거기 여러분의 유틸리티 펑션, 이거 컨트롤 맵으로도 보였었죠. 3차원에서. 그거하고 사실은 접하는 점을 우리가 찾아요. 접하는 점을 찾는 이유가 거기가 주어진 버젯 하에서는 효용을 최대화해요. 만약 버젯이 없다면 효용 최대화란 문제는 인피니트해질 수 있죠. 왜냐면 여러분이 컨섬션을 마구 늘리면 되니까. 자, 그런 환경에서 여러분이 어떤 컨섬션 초이스를 만들고 그것을 프라이스를 지금 익서지너스 베리어블이라고 했는데 요걸 다시 인더지너스하게 더 넓은 센텐스에서 확장하게 되면 수요 곡선이 나와요. 그 길을 향해서 아마 이번 한 달 아니면 4주 정도 수업을 진행할 겁니다. 자, 그 과정에서 우리가 효용이란 목적 함수하고 버젯이란 제약식을 가지고 생각을 하죠. 그쵸? 그리고 그걸 모델링이라고 하고. 그러다 보니 어떻게 보면 다 한 것 같은데, 제약식이라는 건 다른 게 아니고 여러분 소비자 입장에서 take it given으로 해야 될 것들이에요. 그것이 시간을 들기도 했고 돈을 들기도 했고 프라이스를 들기도 했어요. 같은 문제가 생산자에게도 사실은 있어요. 생산자가 생산하기 위해서는 리소스들을 purchase, 사야 되는데 이 리소스가 웨이지도 될 수 있고 캐피탈도 될 수 있어요. 다 캐피탈의 경우 렌탈 레이트나 인트레스트 레이트는 이자율이 적용이 되죠. 그런 코스트를 스펜딩 쓰고 나서 다음에 생산 요소를 산 다음에 이게 근데 그 생산하는 사람 입장에서 뭐예요? 제약이 돼요. 가격도 그렇고 어떤 비용이 얼마라고 주어졌을 거 아니에요. 비용 내에서 생산하게 되지 어떤 주어진 비용 없이 생산하지는 않잖아요. 그리고 이런 주어진 제약할 생산자는 뭘 하죠? 내가 제품을 만들어서 얼마의 단가로 팔면 그때 들어오는 매출액 수입하고 내가 이런 리소스를 하이어 하는데 쓴 비용하고의 차이를 극대화하죠. 그걸 이윤이라고도 하고 그 이윤을 극대화한다고 합니다. 그런 것들을 저하고 여러 가지 방식으로 생각을 해보고 수학적으로 모델을 하게 됩니다. 여러분이 한 가지 머릿속에 기억해야 될 것은 고등학교 내가 미적분을 잘 모르겠다라고 하면 다시 한번 가서 보세요. 근데 이과생이 하는 미적분까지 볼 필요는 없고 너무 겁먹을 필요는 없고 다항식의 미적분에만 여러분이 능숙해도 충분합니다. 그렇게 준비하길 바라고 다음 시간에 다시 1장의 남은 챕터를 나가도록 하겠습니다. 수고하셨습니다.